I chose my talk title based on what's coming up, our next year, our next opportunity for growth, our next wave of our future experience together, faith for the new year. And I'm not really going to talk about that until the last line. So I'm going to share a little story with you about a tourist from the United States who paid a visit to a rabbi, Rabbi Hafetz Shem. And in Israel, he was visiting this rabbi, and the tourist was astonished to find how simple this rabbi was living. Just a table, some books, and a bed. And that's all that was there. And the tourist said to the rabbi, "Where is your furniture?" And the rabbi said, "Well, where's yours?" And the man said, "Well, I'm just passing through." And the rabbi said, "So am I." It was interesting to find on our listserv, many of our ministers are connected through the internet, and we chat back and forth quite a bit. And one of the topics of discussion this week, which I'm not surprised about at all, was getting rid of things, simplifying our lives. And they were all asking each other, what do you do to simplify your lives, to get rid of all of the stuff and the junk and all of the things that have piled up over the course of time? And so perhaps that's something that we're thinking about the rabbi in his room, that great example of simplicity and knowing that we really can't take anything with us. Although by the looks of things in the world, it sure doesn't always seem that way. But anyway, we are all tourists on this plane of life. And how we travel through that life and what we take with us and all of the things that go along with us give us so many opportunities. And we might think of the metaphor of being on a bus, that we're being on a bus going through life. And we have this opportunity as the bus makes stops to either get off the bus and jump into life, or to just sit on the bus and look out the windows and just kind of see what's going on the outside world. And I know I've had many, many times that I felt like I just want to sit there. I just want to look at what's happening outside the windows of the bus, but ew, it looks too messy out there. I don't want to go. And you know, here's the great challenge. Do we want to get off the bus and enter into that milieu of stuff, of life, and risk getting messy, which is what happens? So I recall many times in my life when I've been inspired to get off the bus, to say, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to jump into this part of life, and I'm going to really take a chance. And most of the time, I made a big mess. Most of the time, you know, it was a risk, and a lot of the time, you know, it felt bad, and I made mistakes, and so on and so forth. And you know, that's great. And that's what we all should be willing to do, is to make a mistake or make a mess or do whatever we need to do, because as a result of that, something always wonderful happens. We always find a gift in it. There's always something fantastic that happens as a result of taking the risk to get off that bus. And sometimes it had to do with working on a relationship. That, you know, it was that thing of, shall I call that person? And, you know, should I risk giving my heart away? Should I risk saying something that person may not actually say, I like you, or I love you back to you? You ever been in that spot? And wondering whether or not that's going to work out, or doing something, you know, really embarrassing in front of someone that you really, really respect and honor. And what happens, and what has happened with me, is even if I feel like a fool, or it felt horrible, or I felt really like, oh God, I wish I hadn't done that, or I wish I hadn't said that. It's like the email that you wish you hadn't pushed send, and all of a sudden, oh my God, what have I done? It's an interesting thing, because if we are open to the flow of it, if we don't run back and jump back on the bus and try to hide, if we try to deal with it, if we know that there's something in us that can get us through that, something amazing happens. Some inner strength comes up for us, and it takes us through the situation so that we can find something good in it, so that we can write it, so that we can change it. And it happens with so many other things. It happens with our jobs and our careers. Perhaps we think we've made the wrong choice. And oh, why did I decide to do that? Why did I quit that job and now I'm in this place? All of these things are choices that we've been making that look like it's a big mess. We took the risk, we got off the bus, but there's always something in us that can move us through it, that can get us to a new place. It might be doing something that we wish we hadn't done, or working on our own body, mind, and spirit. Maybe it's a philosophy or something that we started getting into and thought, oh, this isn't going the direction that I want it to go. There's always something in us that takes us back and gets us on the road again. So we have to realize that out there is not going to change what's happening in our experience, in the mess that we're in. Out there is never going to give us another chance. What gives us another chance is what's in here. We are the only ones who can give ourselves another chance. It's like when you make that mistake with a person in the relationship, and it's like, oh, give me another chance, give me another chance. It's not them. It's not about them. It's about us. How are we going to change our way of being in the world and approach that individual the next time in a different way? It's not about changing the way something looks on the outside or the appearance of any particular situation. It's about the decision to change the way we feel about ourselves. How do we feel about who we are? And when we realize that it is us that wants to change our own experience, what happens is a big question comes up. Because oftentimes we are doing this, or we're in the mess that we're in, or we've made the mistake that we made, or whatever it happens to be, because we thought that we were supposed to be doing that. That somebody or something kind of pressured us into it, or we felt like it was what we were supposed to do. When indeed, the question really is, what do I want? It is the hardest question that we ever have to ask ourselves. What do I want? And it's a huge question. And it's a question that speaks to every decision that we make. Because whenever we make a decision, whether it's a relationship or job or anything we're doing in life, it's always based on the bigger answer to that question of what do I want? Not right now in the moment, not the tactile or the immediate responses of whatever that situation is, but what is it that I want in life? What is the big picture for me? What is it that I truly want to experience in this life? And this is the big question for this coming year. What a great time to ask this question. There's a man named Wendell Berry, and he says this: it may be that when we no longer know what to do, we have come to our real work. And when we no longer know which way to go, we have begun our real journey. It's the question. It's the question, it's the turning point, it's that significant part when something deep in us compels us to align with an energy which is not out in the world. It's not in the world of effect. That energy is within us. It's that deep calling the deep remembering of the soul that's wanting to express itself, that's wanting to know, okay, human body, okay, finite brain and mind, where do I want to go with this amazing energy that is within me? And what is the answer to that? Because this energy is awesome, it's powerful, it's amazing, and it's always available to us. And it has nothing to do with what's outside. It's an energy that's felt inside of us, and it's a connection that we make. And it's the experience of absolutely experiencing the divine. It's the feeling of touching that palpable essence of something that wants to be expressed in the world, that wants to have a voice in the world, that wants to have some kind of work to do in the world. And that's the question that we're answering. And that's the reason why we should decide to get off the bus when we have the opportunity to do that. So when we're compelled more by this inner feeling, this inner urge, this inner desire, when we're compelled more by that than by the outer effects of the world, than by the pressures that are happening out there, then we have given ourselves another chance. We've given ourselves the chance to be that essence of power that wants to come out in the world. The chance to live a life that's truly spirit-driven, that's driven from this energy that's the authentic us, that's not based on anything else except this inner light, this inner intelligence, this inner spirit. You know when we make mistakes? We make mistakes when we're compelled by the desire to make everything out there change. How's that working for you? Not so well, my guess would be. We try to make something out there different. We try to make a change. And when that happens, when you try to do that, and it doesn't work, there's an interesting thing that goes on in our own consciousness, in our own minds. We feel like we've lost control. And we have. Because there is no control. There's nothing that we can really control in the world. It's an illusion. It's the illusion of control. I have this great picture in my office of this little cartoon character who's riding a bicycle that has no handlebars and is kind of floating in the stars, and it says, the caption is, "The illusion of control." We have none. And so when we try to make something change, when we try to change a person, when we try to change a situation or a condition to suit the way we want it to be, what happens is we feel like we've lost control because we generally can't change it. And if we do change it, it's only temporary because it goes right back to where it was. And when we do that, what happens is we have literally put a stopgap, a stopper on top of our own inner light. We have then decided, we have kept that energy that we were once in connection with, we have stopped it. We said, you know, I'm not letting you out because I have other things to do. I'm controlling the world. And so I can't let the inner light out right now. There's no energy to do that. So you have to stay in there right now. So once we let go of that illusion of control, once we let go of the need to change everything out there, what happens is that this light just flows because it feels like we don't have control. And the wonderful word that we can think about and that we can really set an intention on is surrender. Surrender to this amazing divine power that truly wants to express the authentic you, the authentic essence of light and love that we are. Because when we realize that we must do something, it's not our opportunity to make someone get it. I mean, isn't that what we try to do? It's like, they don't get it. What can I do to make them get it? How can I, I'll set something up, and we'll create a scenario so that they'll get it. And what happens? We screw ourselves up. You know, I mean, we get into a spot where then we're blocking our own light. Or we try to convince someone else that we're right, that you know, we're right. Or we want to make someone say that they're sorry. Why won't they say they're sorry? Or we want to make someone else feel guilty. And then after they do, then we feel bad. We feel horrible. Or we're blaming. Blame, 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 blame. Blame the organization, blame the boss, blame the country, blame the banks, blame the car dealers, blame, and or create a drama that we recreate and enact over and over again. It's our own little drama, you know, because it's the only way that we can express the frustration that we have. So we create this little scenario where we go around and do drama. So we do drama, drama, drama until someone notices us, and then, you know, then we do it again so someone else will notice us. But it's not about that. It is about our willingness to own our own behavior. Own our own behavior. Reveal our own judgments. It is about realizing that the part we play and our willingness to forgive ourselves and others. We played a part in it. We made a choice. We got off the bus. We made a mess. Now, take that mess. Claim it. Take responsibility. Be willing to own our own behavior. Be willing to say, okay, now let's see how we can change what's happening here, and let's do it together. Let's move forward with a sense of win-win. What's for the greatest good of all? It's about taking responsibility not just for our actions, but for our thoughts. Now think how big that is. Our thoughts. No one's around. You're in the middle of a desert. There's no one for miles and miles and miles. What are you thinking? It's very important to know that every thought is powerful. Whether you are right next to someone or thousands of miles away, the way you think about them is incredibly important. And the way you think about yourself is so important. So take responsibility and be conscious about thoughts, about feelings, about actions, and realizing that we cannot change anyone else. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. We can provide an example. We can be a catalyst. We can be a motivator. We can be an inspiration. And if they choose to change, bravo! And if not, bravo. Bravo! Exactly. Exactly. Dr. Holmes said, the doorway to the absolute stands open at the center of our own intuitive perception. We enter the absolute through that which appears to be finite, because the finite must be drawn from the infinite. See, what he's really saying here is that our finite, our limited human existence, or what appears to be limited in our human bodies, that finite is best expressed when it draws its power from the infinite. It cannot draw its power from something else that's finite. It must draw its power from that which is infinite. And so, as we realize that, we will then do what he says. The doorway to the absolute stands open at the center of our intuitive perception. Our intuitive perception. That is the doorway within. That's where we find that sense of power, where we feel compelled to be that greatest expression of love and light that is within us. So here's the point, because many, people will always say, well, what's the point? So here's the point. The point is that we must be involved in the finite life. We can't avoid it. We have to involve ourselves in it. We can't be the guru sitting on top of the mountain. Or that's nice. It's nice. It's nice to be the guru on the mountain and have that meditative experience and have those wonderful thoughts, but it's not helping until the guru comes down from the mountain and mingles about in the city and experiences the finite life and truly takes what is learned from that intuitive experience and expresses it in the world and has that interaction with other finite beings. So we must be involved in the finite life to discover the infinite. Because we are really not brought to that place of recognition or realization until we have that challenging experience, until we get off the bus and make a mess. When we're on the bus, all that's happening is we're just sitting there. That's nice, very nice. And we're not going to grow. When we get off the bus and we challenge that finite experience, we challenge what's going on around us, what happens is there's something in us that says, you're in trouble, you're having, something's going on here, you need to do something. And so that's the great bell going off that says, okay, go within, use your intuitive perception, go to that place of knowing. And as you do that, as we go to that place, we bring out the infinite into the finite, and we're able to create something wonderful in whatever may be happening in that moment. And I don't want to tell you that every time you get off the bus you make a mess. Sometimes it's a wonderful experience, and sometimes our entries into our life experiences are fantastic and wonderful and loving and joyous, and that's terrific too. But it's all of the finite experiences that give us the impetus to choose, to make something better, to grow from the experience. We have to get off the bus and step into life fully knowing that it's our choice, that it's our decision that brings us to wherever we are. It's no one else's decision. It's not the bus driver's decision. It's ours. We can choose to get off the bus. The bus is going everywhere. We just have to know that we can get off at the places we choose to. So we're beginning today, or not today, but later in the week, beginning a new year. We're beginning a new opportunity. I know it's just numbers. It's just date. It's just the calendar. It's all in our minds. It's all appearance. But it's a great wake-up call. It's a great time on New Year's Eve to just be in that place where we do open that doorway of perception, where we do say, okay, I'm open to what's next. What do I really want? What is it? What is the word or the phrase or the thought or the intention that is going to come to me every time I face a challenge in this new year? Every time something annoying or frustrating or confusing comes up, what is it that I can remember that's saying to me, what is it that I really want? What is it that I really want to change? What is it that will give me another chance today? What is it that will take me to the next level of my own expression? Because we have another chance to free our minds of the past. We have another chance to seek love over fear. We have another chance to seek peace over conflict. We have another chance. Tagore said, let your life dance on the edges of time like dew on the edge of a leaf. Isn't that great? Dance on the edges of time like dew on a leaf. So it's not God that gives us another chance. God provides us with everything that we choose, but there's a finite part of us that can choose to tap into the infinite part of us, and that's where the other chance comes from. That allows us to reveal this glorious life that we have to live right here. Dr. Holmes says, it is like the sunlight of eternal truth bursting through the clouds of obscurity. Feel that. It's like the sunlight of eternal truth bursting through the clouds of obscurity. That's so wonderful. Bathing all life in a celestial glow. It is the absolute with which we are dealing and nothing less. nothing less. We have an open doorway to the absolute and nothing less. So have faith. Have faith in who you are. And begin 2009 dancing a new dance and singing a new song. And so it is.